Luxury consumer markets expert Pam Danziger gave us her take on affluent spending trends to expect this year, and she shares her latest research. She also advises jewelers on what you need to do to capture market share in very tough retail conditions.
Well, you know, if we look at the history of this luxury boom that's been going on for the last 5-10 years, with a lot of money going to the luxury brands and into the luxury market, what has really been fueling that is affluent consumers, people with money, were actually spending their perceived wealth rather than their real incomes. And what's happened since the stock markets collapsed and the values of their homes have gone down, I mean, they've lost their wealth. So now they've got to rely upon real incomes. And you know, if we look at the affluent, the median income or the average income in the country is about $60,000, $65,000 for a household. You double that, you're at $125,000, $130,000. Well, people at that income level can live a comfortable life, but that doesn't leave a lot of money left over for luxuries. You've really got to get to about $250,000, 4 times the average income in the country, to really have money and be seriously involved in the luxury market if you're spending your income. So, and there's only about 2% of the U.S. households that are in that high-level income segment. So what we're seeing is the contraction of the market has been caused by the fact that people who were in the affluent, merely affluent as opposed to rich, were spending their perceived wealth and were not spending their incomes. Now their incomes have put a halt to their spending. We were just in Beverly Hills doing interviews with affluent consumers. I mean, we're talking, you know, really serious heavy-duty spenders. And you wouldn't have believed how many people were saying, we're seeing people losing their houses, we're seeing people in our neighborhoods that are losing their jobs. They're feeling a great deal of responsibility and responsibility to spend their money effectively. So they are cutting back. They are holding back, and they're saying, we're going to wait and see what tomorrow brings. And the one thing I talk to my clients about all the time, we're talking about luxuries here. I mean, the simple fact is nobody needs any of this stuff. What can you cut back on the easiest in your household? It's luxury, because you don't need it. So it's the thing that's the first to go.
How has today's level of confidence in this current recession differed from, say, the past 2?
Again, I think that when we look at the affluent market, this time and in this marketplace, they were spending their perceived wealth as opposed to their real incomes. And that is the sticking point. And we really need to get back to spending our incomes. What we're going to find in the future, you know, if we look at, you know, good or, you know, ordinary mass brands, premium brands, sort of better and best, more of the merely affluent, those people from $100,000 to about $250,000 in income, which represent the top 18% of U.S. households, are going to be gravitating more toward the premium brands, the better brands, but not really reaching up for the best and the exclusive brands. So we're going to see sort of a restructuring of the luxury market. I think retailers need to think about how they can expand the selection of product in their stores, not just to have, you know, really the best of the best, but also how can they have some nice semi-precious gemstones that really add a lot of value to the consumer. Because, you know, for me, I love amethyst. There's nothing beats a beautiful purple stone. They're not expensive, but they give me a maximum bang for my buck. So I think there's lots of ways that retailers can work with their merchandise to bring in the kinds of product that really offers bang for their buck. We also have seen an increase in sterling silver, and people are buying more sterling silver, which again offers that value to the consumer.
What are you recommending that retailers look at to bring people into the stores right now?
Okay, well that's a real challenge. My last book that I wrote, called Shopping, Why We Love It, and How Retailers Can Create the Ultimate Experience. That book was really all about shops that pop, shops that offer extraordinary shopping experiences. And that's the way you really need to think about it. Now, in my book, there are no jewelry stores profiled, because as I looked across the retail sector, what I found was that jewelers really are, what separates jewelers in jewelry retailers from being shops at pop, or from the customers, really is the security issue. Unlike any other area of retail, you really have a security issue in the jewelry marketplace. However, as I studied jewelry retail more closely and worked in workshops with various retailers that we've been working with, it became very clear to me there is a way to overcome the limitations of security, and that's really through the people in your store, is through the salespeople, because they can, in effect, jump over the counter and bring somebody in and really engage the shopper with the merchandise and really work with the shopper to make that extraordinary shopping experience. So when we look at retail, where should you invest your money? Where should you be really investing your energy this year to create shopping experiences in your store? It's with your employees, and working and making sure you have the right people behind the counter, and making sure that they are trained properly and that they really make the customer feel welcome. When we look across, we talk about the luxury market. Nobody needs any of it. But jewelry is unique in the luxury market, and that's because it has an inherent value. And that's one of the things that I think that really needs to be played up when you're talking about, to a consumer who is being more careful with their spending, who's being more selective in their purchases, is talking to the value. Because the simple fact is, a woman, whereas a couple years ago she would go out, she'd get a new dress, new pair of shoes, new handbag, and maybe a new necklace to accent the outfit. I mean, today she's being much more selective. She's only buying one of those things that's going to give the most bang for her buck. The simple fact is, $2,000 spent on a necklace versus $2,000 spent on a handbag, there's just no comparison, because the necklace has value. The handbag isn't worth the money you pay the minute you walk out the store. So I think that retailers really should be playing up that value, not to the extent of saying that jewelry is an investment, but that jewelry holds value. And I think that's very important for retailers this year in particular.
Now, how would that play into if the luxury handbag store next door to the jewelry store has that big old 50% off sale? What should the jeweler do? Is this really a competing product then?
Well, one of the areas of investigation in our recent interviews that we did in Beverly Hills was the fact that now that there's been such widespread discounting of luxury, can the brands go back and pay, charge full price? Will shoppers pay full price? And we found there are different stories depending upon where you are in the food chain. If you are a luxury brand and you don't diminish the quality of your product, so, if you think about like a Roberto coin necklace, or, all the brands are going to be okay. However, the retailers, because of this widespread discounting, have really trained shoppers to look for those discounts. And the shoppers are pushing back on retailers that do not offer discounts. So whereas the brands can command full price, the retailers can't anymore. So the challenge is, how do you give not necessarily more money or charge less money for your products, or higher discounts? I think that you need to turn that around and talk about, how can I give more value to the consumer? So maybe with a $2,000 necklace, you give the matching pair of earrings for half price. Maybe you give a rebate card so that they can come back and buy the matching earrings, but they get some money off. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can, rather than just 50% off or 70% off, you can really work the pricing equation to give more value to the consumer. And that's going to be a real winning ticket this year.
In precious metals news, gold is off by low to mid single digits in 30-day and 1-year comparisons, as no major event at the moment is causing it to push past $900 an ounce again. With jewelry demand low, supplies remain in check. India's festival season begins April 27th, and demand for gold there is picking up. Platinum, a good 40% off its price a year ago, but it certainly has inched its way back up from the 700s an ounce during fourth quarter 2008. For all the latest news, please visit diamonds.net.